The toccata already existed before the Baroque period. Basically, it was a virtuosic piece, often quite free in its form, and almost always for keyboard. But that should not deter you from improvising a toccata on other instruments. In the late 16th century, the toccata was a piece with chords in one hand and runs in the other. In the 17th century, especially with Frescobaldi, we start seeing different contrasting segments. Also, from one toccata to another, more differences appear, like a toccata focused on long notes and dissonances, whilst another one focused on different sections and virtuosity. Later in the century, Froberger adds fugato sections and often uses a form we will more or less see with Bach as well. We will get a rhapsodic introduction, brrr, then a fugato, so with imitations, a second fugato based on earlier material, and then again some free passages to conclude. Buxtehude and his generation, preceding Bach, start to unify the style of the toccata, and the alternation between the fugal passages and the freer passages becomes a hallmark of the genre. An important note, nowadays we try to categorize things very neatly, but Sébastien Brossard makes clear that this is not always possible. In his 1701 dictionary, he writes, "The toccata is the same as the fantasia and the ricercar, but for keyboard instruments." So from these quotations we can see all these terms floated around and sometimes meant maybe the same thing. Matteson even goes as far as to say that improvising is made up of various elements like arpeggios, arioso, adagio, passaggi, fugues, fantasias, chaconas, capricci, etc. And altogether they fit under the general name toccata. So then a toccata is a kind of mishmash of different types of improvisation. And indeed Bach uses several of these types, of these elements. And now I'll show you each element he uses briefly, knowing full well that each element could take an entire video series to discuss.